6, we're back again. Kristi and Katie, your crime time friends. Stories, justice, laughs collide. True Crime Squad, come join the ride. Grab the clues, let's take a stand. For victims' voices, hand in hand. True Crime Squad, it's time to shine. Season 6, your turn, your time. True Crime Squad, where justice meets hilarity.
Hey everybody, and welcome to the True Crime Squad. This is Katie Weaver. I'm here with my sister, co-host, and partner in crime, Kristi Brower. Hello.
Hello. Hey everybody.
How's it going?
It is going well. It is going very well.
Have you warmed up?
I have finally warmed up.
Oh, my
fingertips were numb for like an hour.
My feet. Oh my God.
Oh,
So
I bet.
we had our witches market yesterday. And it rained and it rained and it rained and it rained and it blew and it blew and it blew. And we kind of sat halfway up and weren't sure if we should even get our product out because of the weather. Then it got a little better. So we're like, nope, we're going to go for it. It's going to get better. No, it did not get better. And finally a big gust came through and about blew us away. And we went, nope, we're all done with this. And about 1 p.m. we packed up and went home. My poor feet were so wet. My shoes were soaked. My socks were soaked. I was freezing. And yeah, my fingers too. Oh, awful. Luckily, though, I don't think any of my product got destroyed. I think yours was okay.
Yeah, my stuff was all fine.
It was just a bummer
just
because
cold.
should have been a super fun fair, but who's coming out in that?
Right. Yeah, it was not excellent.
No.
Yeah, I was so cold. My fingertips were so cold. And then, you know how when your fingers are cold, have you ever pinched your finger when it's really, really cold?
Ooh,
Pinched my
worst.
finger on it closing up a table. It hurt until like this morning. It hurt forever. Oh,
You said all the words. Yeah.
I did. Oh, it hurt so bad.
Yeah.
So yeah.
So we tried to be troopers. We did. But, you know, it started to feel very not worth it when the rain started blowing sideways and our awnings were jumping up and down and we went, this just seems like, first of all, what customers are coming to this when it's like this? Probably not very many. We had a few. We did have a few.
We did.
But, you know. Anyway, so I came home. I bundled up in blankets. I cuddled dogs and I watched softball and it was fine.
Right? I know, me too. I just came home and got all wrapped up and then I was fine too. But yikes. It was not.
Now today it's absolutely gorgeous. Yeah.
Typical.
We're planning our big family camping trip this weekend for our Memorial Weekend trip, and it's supposed to be absolutely beautiful. So,
by God, it better be. We already had the terrible weekend. Let's have a good weekend.
Yeah. We've done this weekend in snow many times, and we go anyway, no matter what. We have friends and family that punk out on us because they can't do the weather, and I get it, but we'll go. It doesn't matter what the weather's doing, but it looks like it's going to be great.
It does. And we can always go inside campers and play games. And, you know, I mean, that's certainly possible.
Yeah. Drink coffee with Baileys and make beef stew over the campfire. And yeah, we can do that.
Yeah, definitely.
Anyway, so it's going to be fine. It is going to be fine. Yeah.
I do have a little show and tell.
Oh.
And that is that our merch store has soft launched. It's not all done. It's not all the merch in there, but there's a fair amount.
Okay.
So I'm going to put a link here, but I have a little secret. If you go to the main page of our YouTube channel and you click on shop, you can see some of our merch there. But also I'm just going to put a link in the chat to it as well. And the link will now go in our show descriptions as well. And we'll put a link over on our website also. But I thought, well, y'all are the inner squad. You get to know about these things. So
absolutely.
Go check it out. We're working on it. A lot of stuff. It just takes time to design things, but we definitely have stickers. We have hoodies. We have hats. And we have t-shirts. And there will be lots more coming. So
fantastic.
So go check it out. There's some fun things there and a lot more fun stuff to come.
We love it. And also there's a spot on our Discord if you want to suggest something. Or,
Yes.
you know, as it happens in trials and stuff like that, where we go, don't flatter yourself. I need a sticker of that or
There
whatever.
is a "Don't Flatter Yourself" sticker.
Yeah,
Hmm.
then come let us know.
Yeah,
Yeah.
definitely do. And we're going to continue. It just takes a little while to design stuff, but I think we can make everything y'all have suggested already
Mm-hmm.
is all very possible. So
Oh, yeah. We'll
just
get
keep an
there.
eye on it. It will keep coming. Hmm.
Okay. Well, very good.
Yeah.
Well, we have a two-part episode today. We're going to talk about the evidence leak in Kohberger and how much Judge Hippler seems to have had enough, as well as a murder local to us that happened in Challis, Idaho. That it's a hell of a story. So we're going to share both, but we're going to start with Kohberger.
Let's do. We're gonna talk about this guy right here.
Oh God. Yep. There he is,
Okay.
and all of
So
his wonder.
we talked last week about the Dateline episode about the Moscow murders, and we had discussed that there were some things that were shared that we had not ever heard before.
Yeah.
And we were curious about where maybe that information had come from. Well, there's another guy that's pretty interested in that, and that would be Judge Hippler.
Mm-hmm.
So last week there was a hearing. It was a preliminary hearing. They're getting ready for the trial in August. And I'm just going to show you what I love about Hippler is how just sort of calm he is. But I want to show you the actual hearing about the leak was closed. So we just know a little bit of stuff based on some comments that he made during the hearing.
Mm-hmm.
So I've got a little video for us to watch of that, and then we'll talk about it some more.
Mm-hmm.
Mr. Thompson, about that.
Not at this point. I understand the court might entertain some things in a closed environment later today, and we do have some sensitive issues to raise at that point.
Okay. That's my list of things. In fact, did I miss anything, Giovanna, that you can think of? All right. That's my list of stuff, and I know this has been a very sort of nuts and bolts kind of lawyer discussion today, but that's generally the nature of pretrials when there aren't contested motions to discuss, and so that's my list. I'm happy to answer any questions about my preferences or how I handle things that I haven't talked about, or address anything else that you want to talk about. I know we do need to go to a closed session at some point to talk about what will be asked of the jury specifically. I need to avoid that getting out to potential jurors, so we'll do that in the closed session. But anything else in the public session we need to talk about?
I don't believe so, Your Honor. Thank you.
Your Honor, thank you.
Okay. Let me just look at my notes real quick before I dismiss the public, and we probably take a lunch break and then come back and take that up. I do have a copy. I told you there's a new administrative order. I'll give you a copy of that just so you don't have to go dig for that. What's that? You've already given it to him? All right, perfect. Thank you.
Spare that we could have, Your Honor. That
Sure.
Oh, it's already at hand. Thank you.
Actually, I have copies of the preliminary instructions for you.
Oh, thank you, sir.
In the closed session this morning, I indicated to you I'm going to be entering an order requiring the retention of records by the state, and I'm going to write another one extending that to the defense as it relates to violations of the non-dissemination order. I'm going to give you a copy of what that order is going to look like that I will execute likely over the lunch hour. It does require some action on your part, council. And as I indicated, I would be open to a request for a appointment of a special prosecutor, and that special prosecutor to ask for a magistrate inquiry so they have the power of subpoena and the power to question witnesses under oath, as well as the power to grant immunity. So I will be looking for that from you. And that one just deals with the state. I will get you one that deals with your side to preserve records, all right? All right. Anything else?
Sorry. Okay. It's all so calm and quiet. They're practically whispering.
Yeah. I know. I
But
was
what
wondering if
they're-
the judge is sick.
I know, I couldn't tell, but even the we didn't hear Ann Taylor say much, but they were all talking very quietly. And I don't know if this is just really damn serious and they're all like, holy shit.
Mm-hmm.
This is a gagged case, okay?
Yeah.
Someone has released information to CNN, not to CNN, I mean,
Dateline.
sorry, CNN's reporting on it, to Dateline.
A bunch
And-
of information.
Yeah, and we're going to get to that here in a minute. But what he's saying, first of all, a records retention, like you got to hang on to all your shit right now.
Mm-hmm.
Then we're talking violation of the gag order, special prosecutor with magistrate, whatever, subpoena
Mhm.
power,
Yeah.
question witnesses, and the power to give immunity.
Yeah.
As in, who's going to narc on who did this?
Mm-hmm.
Who's going to narc because somebody needs to?
Mm-hmm.
I have no doubt that he is absolutely fucking furious, but he's
Oh,
not
can
going
you
to do that
imagine?
in
Yeah.
front of the public. I can't imagine what was talked about in the closed door hearing, and then
Oh,
they
yeah.
had another closed door hearing. So this is big and it's bad. Like, come on, God. So, there we are talking very specifically
Mhm.
about the Dateline episode and where that information was obtained from, because we all know
Mhm.
that there's a lot of stuff that we don't know about this case because of that. So the special, we know, had Kohberger's phone records and internet and Amazon searches, Instagram photos, and cell phone tower data.
Yeah.
Where did they get that information? Because
I mean,
that stuff was
yeah.
not public.
This is all within the discovery.
It
This
is.
came from law enforcement, or it came from the state, or it came from the
We
defense.
don't know, right?
Yeah.
It could have been any of them. And all of those entities are gagged. The police are
Yeah.
gagged, defense, state, all of the administrative people that work for all of them, they're all gagged. This is
Even if
really
they weren't,
serious.
this stuff is not usually disclosed before trial.
No, it isn't. It's so irresponsible to be
Mhm.
doing this right before a
Trial.
death penalty murder trial. Hitler's really worried about jury tainting. They're
Yeah.
not even going to discuss their jury questionnaires and stuff
Mhm.
publicly because he doesn't want to further taint the jury. He's
Mhm.
very, very concerned.
Yeah.
And this pisses me off to no end. This is why true crimers get a bad rep.
Yeah.
And look, Dateline's going to report what Dateline's going to report.
Mhm.
But should they have done this? No. I think it's unethical. I think it's wrong to report unknown information right before a trial. Why would you fuck this up?
Right. Is
Why
your
would you fuck it up?
scoop, are your ratings worth
Right.
botching a murder trial like this? Is it worth endangering a conviction? Is it worth it?
It's money. It comes down to money. Money over ethics, money over protecting the integrity of a trial, whoever leaked it is an asshole. But you know what? I'm not real thrilled with Dateline either.
Yeah.
They knew this stuff wasn't supposed to be out there in the public.
Mm-hmm.
They knew it.
Of course they did.
Why would they risk this? This is a huge case.
Mm-hmm.
Family's not going to have it. Joelle, they're not going to have like cell tower information and Bryan Kohberger's phone records and stuff. Family might have some things, but the actual like documentation of those things, family doesn't have that.
No.
That's
No.
discovery.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Yeah. What was it, Ann Taylor, who had this leak? We don't know. That's the thing.
Yeah.
Right now, the judge is, what he's referring to as blanket across the board, state
Yep.
and defense. And I'm sure the police are included in this as well. FBI, because there was FBI assistance. Like,
Yeah. But to be fair, one of the dads has let things slip in the media before that he should not have.
he
That's
has,
true.
definitely. But he doesn't have phone records and cell
No,
phone
he
tower
wouldn't have
data
this
and
kind of
stuff like
stuff.
that. He's not got that kind of stuff. That's trial
No.
discovery stuff.
Mm-hmm.
Can Dateline be held responsible? No, they're not. They you can't gag the media.
No.
It's whoever released this stuff could face criminal charges. Like, this is really, really serious.
Yeah.
And that is why, he wants the special prosecutor who has subpoena power,
Mm-hmm.
power to question witnesses, and the power to give immunity, because he wants to know who did this.
Mm-hmm.
If you know and
who's
it
going to
wasn't
rat on
you,
somebody else? Yep.
you better be saying.
Yeah.
So it's not good. I mean,
Well, and
that's
also, what was the motivation? Did
right.
Dateline pay for
Why?
this information?
That was my other concern. Did money change hands? Because money
Yeah.
changes hands for information all the time.
Right, Carrie. My thought too. Did Dateline pay for this information? I've seen them in many other interviews. Claim that they did not pay for info from various people. But was this an exception to the rule? Like, what in the world? Yeah.
Yeah. I don't know.
Yeah.
It's true, Joelle, that someone else might have run it anyway. But
Mm-hmm.
what I can't get my head around is, why would you want to risk the final outcome of this case? Why would
Yeah.
you want to risk the integrity of this trial?
Mm-hmm.
Seems more of the defense would benefit. I don't know why, because it's information that goes against him. It's not exculpatory information, it's inculpatory information.
Well, only
I don't think
because
either side really benefits, other than it could really taint the jury pool.
Yeah. Yeah.
I don't know. I really question at this point why we don't have independent journalism that uses ethics anymore.
Yeah.
Because this would be considered something unethical to do in a GAD case.
Oh, yeah.
And obviously, I'm sure Dateline, has made a gajillion dollars on that episode.
Of course.
And, that's what they care about.
Mhm.
But in the long run, this is a very important trial. And it's true that maybe the defense could have done it to try to get the death penalty off the table, because there's that other part of that is, are they going to apply, and request some kind of a remedy for this? I don't
Right.
think that it's going to rise to the level of taking the death penalty off the table.
Well,
It's not nearly as egregious as what happened in Lori Vallow's case.
No, and I mean, I would think the only way they could demand a remedy is if they could prove that it was somebody within the state,
Right.
that had done so. If they can't prove that, then there is no remedy.
Right.
Yeah.
Exactly. Right. And the other thing that they're working on is, an alternative perpetrator
Yeah.
theory. Now that's still up in the air, because they haven't given enough information at this
Mhm.
point
Yeah.
to determine if that's actually viable.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And that, that's not a surprise that they would try to come up
No,
with an alternative.
it isn't.
However, the fact that the judge is this pissed that he's taking it this seriously,
Yeah.
somebody out there is scared to death right now because they know they flap their
Yeah.
gums, and if
Yeah.
they could be caught. Like, this is serious. It's so serious. It's so stupid,
It is.
and it
It's
makes me
really stupid.
very sad for the victims' families because
Right.
these things should not be happening. It also just
No.
makes me sad that this case has not come to trial yet, that it's taken this long, because this needs to happen. We need to get this freaking case to trial so that we can stop with all of this. Yeah.
Yeah, we do. Absolutely. Right. I agree, Kristi. Kristi says it's mind-blowing that someone would jeopardize justice to the victims this way, but it's
Yeah.
financially motivated. You know it is.
Mm-hmm.
This is going to be a financially motivated thing. If we ever
Yeah.
find out who did it, it'll be about money.
Yeah.
And it does. It makes me sick.
Mm-hmm.
I want justice for justice sake, you know?
But did
And
these
yeah,
kids' lives matter so little that a bunch of confidential, highly confidential, and gagged discovery could just be leaked to the public just so that somebody could get a payday? I mean, that's what it boils down to.
that's the world we're
Yeah.
living in, which I think is sad and gross.
Mm-hmm.
I can't imagine. Honestly, if somebody came to us with information like that, we would not release it.
Mm-mm.
We would not do it.
No.
Period.
No. It's not in a gagged case. Absolutely
No.
not.
No.
No.
Not in a case where you know, and not even like, hey, this is not, this isn't going to come out till trial. We're probably still not going to release it because it's not
Mhm.
right. The justice system needs to work the way it works.
Yep.
It's just, I think it's wrong. It's disappointing to me
Mm-hmm.
to see this happen. It's why true crimers get a bad name. It's why true crime shows get a bad name. Is from doing shit like this.
Yeah.
Can't we just let Kohberger have a trial that is fair and just?
Right.
Don't you want the state to be able to prove their case beyond a reasonable doubt
Right.
without any questions?
Mm-hmm.
Right, Kristi, sell your story after. Right.
Right.
Sell your story after. If you've got it, if you know, fine, whatever.
Yeah.
But to jeopardize the trial like this and the integrity of this case, it's fucked up.
Very much.
And I know not everybody agrees with us about that, and that's fine. You're welcome
And
to your
that's fine.
opinion.
Absolutely. But yeah, but consider that if the evidence that was leaked tainted the jury pool to the point that they couldn't get a decent jury pool, or that we had people on the jury who actually did watch this who denied it, or so on and so forth. There's a million different reasons why this isn't okay to have happen, and the
Right.
jury's not even all of it. I mean, there's lots of reasons why
No.
this discovery shouldn't be out on the table. It just
Right,
sucks.
right.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't think it's going to push out the trial either. But I'll tell you one thing that came out of that hearing is that they are going to have 8 alternate jurors.
Oh boy, they need to. Yeah.
They need to. And he wants 50 to 55 vetted jurors for them to choose from.
Good.
And they're going to keep 20 of them. So that should be very interesting.
Mm-hmm.
And he's keeping the jury questionnaires and that kind of stuff very tight because he's worried.
Yeah.
You can see that he's worried.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm not sure what all is going to come out of this. I think we're going to see quite a bit more come out of it. There's another hearing coming up in June.
Mm-hmm.
We're probably going to see some rulings in between as well. But I mean, looking at appointing a special prosecutor to investigate this could potentially mean that somebody's going to face charges. They're working currently with the plan that the jury will not be sequestered for the first part of the trial. Here's the thing. This is a death penalty case.
Yeah.
They will be sequestered in the second half of the trial. If he is found guilty, then in the penalty phase of the trial, they will be sequestered.
Yeah.
So there's the potential for that. Right now, they're not planning on sequestering during the guilt phase.
Mm-hmm.
It could change, though. The judge was like, I'm not making any promises right now. He's like, Right now, I don't think so, but they did discuss in that hearing that they want to prepare the potential jurors for the possibility that they could end up sequestered, because they will
Mhm.
in the penalty phase,
For sure.
given
Yeah.
given a guilty verdict,
A
which I
guilty verdict.
think we
Yeah.
still all think is pretty likely.
I mean, penalty
But
phase, even if they do go all the way, which is not how they did it in Daybell, of course, but even if they do, the defense even, presents their entire case, the penalty phase isn't going to last more than a few days, maybe a week.
mm-mm,
But the rest
if
of
even that,
it, but can you imagine being on this jury?
God no, they're looking at a 3-month trial
Yeah.
with potential of being sequestered, at least for part of it.
Hmm.
Um,
Yeah.
yeah,
Oh,
it's going to be
awful.
pretty brutal.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Do we think it has as much interest as Daybell? I think it has more.
It's had a lot. Again, all we know is within the true crime community. I mean,
Mhm.
certainly here in Idaho, it has a ton of interest because it's
Yeah.
an Idaho case. And somebody said, that most people probably, if you're not a true crimer, you may not be paying any attention, and that's possible.
Mm.
Although this case has been all over the news.
Yeah. I
And
think you'll
Kohberger's
find
face,
more
and
people in Ada County that know of the Kohberger case than you did of the Daybell case
I
because
think
it's
that's very
closer.
possible. Hmm.
Yeah.
Yes, and because it happened to students at a state university, and there's a state university in Ada County as well, and there's
Mhm.
been some crossover with like friends and stuff
Yeah.
of the victims who go
Right.
to Boise State. So yeah, I do think that's possible.
Mhm. Definitely.
The gag order has really not kept it quiet. The gag, because there's still a lot of stuff that isn't gagged,
Mhm.
but
Because a
I
lot
don't
of
know.
stuff came out before it was gagged. The initial arrest warrant, we read the entire thing on this show. That was
I
before
did.
it was gagged, and there was no reason to
Mhm.
not. It was all over the news.
Right.
But so there was plenty of info that came out before they gagged it. But and then of course, and the judge has been interesting because, as you know, when he took over the case from Judge, he told the state and the defense to stop sealing all of their filings. And so
Mhm.
some information eked out that way, but mostly it's just been all of the procedural stuff.
Right.
Yeah. Yeah.
Right, that's true, Carrie. A huge group of U of I alums, people who
Oh
went to
yeah.
school there, are gonna know about it. Like,
Mhm.
there's certainly people who do, right? And
Yeah.
it does involve both Washington and Idaho. That's true
Yes.
because
Yeah.
Kohberger was, in Pullman,
Mhm.
Washington.
Yeah.
Yeah. Right, I agree, Bethy. Imagine being a juror, seeing the scene, and going home where you can't talk or decompress, and that you can't
Yeah.
talk about it for 3 months.
Yeah.
God, I hope it doesn't really take that long.
Yeah.
But we've all listened to Ann Taylor, and that chick can talk for 3 months.
Mhm.
So, we'll see.
Yeah.
He was very interesting today, though, because this was mostly just I'm gonna tell you how I run a trial. These are
Mhm.
my expectations.
Yeah.
He made a big point of saying, "I am not a fan of surprises."
Mhm.
He said, "I don't like a lot of objections to, evidence and to, witnesses and stuff." He's like, "I want you to anticipate anything that
Mhm.
needs to be dealt with." He said, "I do not want to frustrate the jury by making them wait for us for a bunch of closed door hearings that they can't be a part of. You better be prepared and ready
Mhm.
to deal with those things before we start for the day so that we're not wasting their time." He said that's the biggest irritation for jurors. And,
Mhm.
I mean, we've seen some trials recently that, oh my God,
Yeah.
the jury spends a huge amount of their day just waiting.
Yep.
And he was very clear with these attorneys. I don't put up with that shit.
Yeah.
So you better anticipate any problems ahead of time. We're going to do a lot of communicating to make sure that we don't have to waste a lot of juror time.
Mhm. He runs a pretty tight ship.
He does. He runs a very tight ship. But that hearing was so strange how quietly everyone was speaking
Yeah.
and how
Yeah.
they were almost whispering.
Mhm.
Because it was almost like, and I'll tell you what, Ann Taylor didn't say shit today. I mean, she
Yeah.
did, or in that hearing, she did, but not like usual at
Mm-mm.
all. Like
The
they'd all been
pontificating? No.
big time before this went in front of the public. You could tell that everybody was just kind of like, uh-oh, dad's
Mhm.
mad. We better straighten up our shit.
Yeah.
Yeah, because I will bet that closed door hearing was a whole lot different.
Mhm.
Just the way that it was almost this weird, very quiet, very compliant energy in the room.
Mhm.
Yeah, it
Yep.
was very, very interesting. So anyway, that's what's happening in Kohberger. We'll keep an eye on. I'm sure we're gonna see some more things. We'll talk about it more probably on case updates.
Yeah.
See what exactly, what we'll know about what the judge is doing. I mean, a lot of things we're not gonna know.
Yeah.
And I would imagine that there's a lot of stuff about this that we won't know publicly until after the trial is over,
Oh, I think
because
that's
he doesn't
true.
want to further
Yep.
taint anything.
Yep.
Right, right, Aaron. It's right, exactly. We don't want to make it more difficult for him to receive a fair trial because this is a death penalty eligible case.
For
It
sure.
has to be perfect. That's just how it is with death penalty. We
Yeah.
saw it in Chad Daybell, and it's going to be the same here. So,
Absolutely. Yep.
yeah. Yeah, it will be streamed. The trial will be streamed.
Yeah.
Yeah. All righty. Well, Katie, I'm gonna kick it all back to you for I don't know if we need to play the thing, but this is definitely an Idaho
Oh, it
case.
is. Yeah. Okay. So I'm going to introduce you to the victim first. So this man's name is Patrick Shelton. And Patrick is from Challis, Idaho. And on the 10th of May, Patrick's family contacted the sheriff's office and said, hey, he was out on cutting wood. He was a woodcutter. And he hasn't come back. And we've been looking around for him, can't find him. And that's when the police got involved. This is from Custer County, Idaho. Now, this is an extremely rural area. Years ago on this channel, we did a cemetery tour where we went out to a bunch of really old cemeteries out in that area and took some footage of them and did some stuff. And we were, oh my gosh, I can't even think of how many hours now we drove with no service at all. Like rural, really rural.
Yep.
And so when somebody goes missing up in there, that can be really scary. It's a pretty wooded area. There's mountains. There's, it's again, very rugged. So his family's like, shit, something happened, Where is he at? He was out with his camper in his pickup with his dog and supposedly was cutting wood. So that's what we know or what we knew. So this is a map of Idaho. Here right in the middle, this is Custer County. And this is anyway, so this is, right in the middle of the state here, right where this happened. So at any rate, his parents or family members were out looking for him and they found a piece of mail belonging to a man by the last name of Bruce. So they contact the police and they're like, we're looking in the area he was supposed to be. We have not found him, but we did find this. So the police go out, the sheriff's office, and search and rescue, and they start searching and they find his pickup. And his dog is in the pickup. So they impound the pickup and they take it back to the sheriff's office. And the next day, they do like a forensic search of the pickup and they discover that there is a fair amount of brain matter in the pickup on the rear mirror and kind of sprayed throughout, as well as a bullet casing and some evidence of some red hairs. And unfortunately, Patrick was a redhead.
Yeah.
And so they're like, okay, what the hell has happened here? So they go and they talk to Mr. Bruce. And when they first go and talk to him, he basically says, he tells them that, he doesn't know. Well, then they look at the phone records from from Patrick Shelton, and they discover that he was in the area of Bruce's home from 12:12 a.m. to 9:16 a.m. on that night, Thursday morning.
Mhm.
And at 9:16 a.m., the carrier stops receiving location information, meaning either they're out of service or they've turned the phone off or the phone's been destroyed. So they go back and they contact Bruce and ask him if he'll meet them at the sheriff's office for an interview. That's this dude right here. And he tells them he can't because his truck is inoperable. So they're like, hey, we got cars. We'll come get you. So they pick him up and they interview him. And he says he doesn't know anything about this, that he doesn't own any firearms, and he doesn't have any idea where this Shelton guy was, and they take him back home. But what Bruce didn't know is that while they were interviewing him, they had a search warrant and they were searching his property.
Mm.
And on the property, they find possible bone fragments and broken glass behind a white Ford pickup. And one thing to know is that the passenger window of Patrick's truck was broken out.
Yeah.
So then they find a burn barrel with a broken truck window in it and a bag of dog treats. And unfortunately, on the bag of dog treats, along the side of Bruce's camper, not the dog treats, along the side of his camper, they find small flecks of human flesh, including what appears to be more red hair.
Oh,
So they call out some cadaver dogs to do a search. These are from the Ravalli County, Montana Search and Rescue and the Bitterroot Search and Rescue dogs. And they indicate on the same burn barrel, on a shop vac, and on 3 other spots on the property. And 2 of those spots were where the bone fragments were found.
Mm.
So the sheriff's office is like, all right, so this bitch is lying. You know, he's got to know more than he's telling us. So they go talk to him. He's sitting in a patrol vehicle watching them search his property. So the deputy comes and gets him out and walks him over to the broken glass, the bone fragments, and allegedly, from the police report, he says to the deputy that he'll be going to jail for a long time. So then he
Thinking
tells
forever, but
Then he tells deputies that he was at his property when Patrick Shelton arrived in his red Dodge. It gets very confusing because there's talk of a red Dodge that seems in duplicate. It is. They both had a red Dodge.
oh wow.
So he claims that Patrick pulled up against the side of his property and crashed his red Dodge into the side of Alan Bruce's red Dodge. Did that actually happen? We don't know for sure, but that's what he told deputies at any rate.
Okay.
The other question is, he's claiming that Patrick was on his property, but then there's also evidence that makes us think that he was actually adjacent to his property. So there's some things that are kind of cloudy, and also this is just his account, so you got to take all of it with a grain of salt because you're going to discover here that this guy is not stable at all.
Mm-hmm.
So he says that he pulls up there and crashes into the side of his Dodge truck, and then apparently parks and camps for the night, it seems. Everything we know is from the arrest warrant, and it is cloudy. So that's what it seems to be. Apparently then, Bruce gets in his truck and leaves the property and goes to a friend's house to borrow an AR, a rifle, a long gun.
Mm.
Supposedly he doesn't have guns because he's a felon, and we'll get to that too. But supposedly he goes in and he borrows a gun. So what he tells the sheriff's office is that his friend dropped him off on the south of his property. So I guess he left his truck at his friend's house. He utilizes the cover of darkness and sneaks back onto the property. Then he says he uses night vision and binoculars to watch as according to him, Shelton moved between Bruce's property and Shelton's RV. His family says he was probably cutting wood,
Right.
not on Bruce's property, but adjacent to Bruce's property. But
Right.
again, some of this is cloudy, so take it with a grain of salt. But he then says that he spent hours watching Shelton.
God, what a creepy dude.
He says at one point Shelton reportedly parks his truck at the property's entrance and illuminated the area with his headlights. Remember, he got there, according to his phone, at night and was there overnight. So this is all happening in the middle of the night.
So he's like cutting wood by the light of his headlights? Is
I
that what
don't
they
know.
think?
I
That seems really dangerous.
Again, very cloudy. Yeah. So he parks his truck there. He says that he, at that point, saw Shelton with a silver-colored handgun and saw him walking from the area of Bruce's camping trailer to a nearby shop.
Now, was Bruce living in his camp trailer, or is there a house here too?
I don't know. I've wondered that
'Cause
too.
everything I've read, I think maybe he lives in his camper on this property. I mean, that would make sense. There's
It would.
certainly places out there that people do that.
Oh, surely. And there's a lot of talk. I mean, it makes you think that Bruce lives at a freaking junkyard. There's tons of burn barrels that are referenced in the arrest affidavit, that like multiple burn barrels, as well as a road grader, as well as both of those pickups, as well as the RV, as well as other things. Hell, I don't know. My best guess is he had a little junky property there that he had a bunch of shit piled up on, but
Sounds
again,
like it.
don't know for sure, but that's
Why
what it
would you
sounds
need
like.
like what are you burning in multiple burn barrels?
You'll find out.
Ugh, well,
Um,
yeah.
hmm So, after watching him for quite some time, he says he was hiding near a road grader, Bruce was, when Shelton returns and parks behind Bruce's white Ford truck, which again confuses me because if he left in the truck and his friend dropped him back off with the gun, how is his white Ford truck even there? But
Well,
anyway,
and what about, so he has a white Ford and a red Dodge.
yeah,
Both feet. Okay.
okay. So he says he walks up to the window and points his gun at Patrick and says, "Do you want some of this?" Patrick supposedly responds, "You better pull the trigger, motherfucker," and holds up his .45. So Bruce shoots Shelton, and he tells deputies when that .45 came up, it was me or him. Okay.
Jesus, dude. It didn't have to be that at all.
Any of you.
Creepy
Right.
psycho.
So after the shooting, he says he removes his body from the truck and dismembered him with a chainsaw.
Oh, Jesus Christ.
Then he placed the remains, some wood, and the chainsaw in a burn barrel and lit them on fire. And then eventually loaded them in the back of his truck and took them to a bridge at Deer Gulch in Lemhi County and dumped them into the Salmon River.
My God. Hideous. What the
Mhm.
hell?
Yeah. So this is the Salmon River. This is the area. This is search and rescue. Because then search and rescue, of course, they were out searching for the burn barrel or for something, some.
Well, yeah, there'd be some remains left. I mean, you can't just
Yeah.
burn a body in a burn barrel.
I mean, poor Patrick's family and friends and the whole community are just beyond horrified.
I'm sure.
know?
How terrifying. God.
So they searched for a couple of days, but eventually said, listen, with spring runoff, the salmon is really high and fast and dangerous, and we can't keep putting people out there. So
yeah,
at
this is a
some
really
point-
dangerous time of year to
Oh,
be
yeah.
out in the rivers.
And the Salmon River is no joke. No joke at all. Also an amazing place to visit if you ever have a hankering, but
Absolutely gorgeous. And the Challis area is absolutely beautiful, but
amazing. Yeah.
whoa.
But yeah. So then we learn that he took a picture.
This all is so Dylan Rounds-esque,
Mm-hmm.
isn't it?
Yeah.
Reminds me of that case a lot. And now we know, of course, he took a picture because people are fucking awful.
Yeah. So first of all, in the white truck that was supposedly in front of where he says he shot Shelton, they found binoculars and a broken pair of night vision binoculars. And they found those inside of what? One of several burn barrels. But then, yes, Bruce shows them a photo that he took of Shelton after he shot him.
Oh my God.
And the photo shows a male body from the torso down sitting in Shelton's Dodge truck. So he's
Oh my
cooked
God.
at this point.
Definitely. Whoa.
So the metadata shows that the photo was taken on Thursday at 6:25 a.m.
Wow.
So, but now piece that together with me. His truck and his phone left the area at what time? 9 a.m.
9.
So how did this happen? Well, Bruce used a tow bar and hooked his truck up and pulled it to another area where he left it, to where they found it.
Oh. And the
ditched
phone was
it.
in the truck?
They haven't said that, but I'm going to assume yes. Yeah. Yeah.
Oh, yikes.
Yeah. Also, his dog was in the truck. And when they
Alive?
found the truck, yes, the dog was in the truck. And from what I can what I'm getting
Oh.
from people that know the case or that know the inside of it, are saying yes, the dog is okay.
But how traumatized, present for the murder of his owner. Oh my
Yeah.
God. Poor pup.
Yeah.
Ugh.
Yeah.
But what I hear nowhere in here is actual motive.
Right. So there are people that are trying to call this self-defense. That this is a stand your ground thing because he was on his land. There's other people that are saying he
We
really
don't have
wasn't.
stand your ground in Idaho.
Right. Also, that he wasn't on his land, he was near his land. But again, if you had the ability to leave the land and drive to someone else's house and borrow a gun and come back, you could have called the sheriff's office if you were
Right.
feeling unsafe there, Bruce.
Your life. He wasn't threatened by this guy. He pulled a gun when he'd already pulled a gun on him. I mean, come on. That's
Yeah.
That's ridiculous.
Yeah. So I did a little bit more digging into who this guy is because, like, really, who is this guy?
Yeah, like, hello, Night Stalker vibes. What the hell are you doing out there with your creepy night vision goggles? Ugh.
Yeah. So looking through the repository, there's not a lot here in Idaho. Back in 2024, he was charged with driving under the influence and took a plea agreement.
Okay.
And then, of course, there is these charges. So here's the charges. First-degree murder perpetrated by poison, torture, vengeance, extortion, or sadistic inclinations.
Mm-hmm.
Evidence destruction, alteration, or concealment. Failure to notify or delay notification of death. Unlawful possession of a firearm by a convicted felon. And enhancement persistent violator.
I'm surprised destruction of evidence is. Oh, it is there. Never mind.
Yeah, it's
I was
there.
gonna say, yeah.
And who?
This will be a death penalty case. That's
Ooh,
enough
yeah.
right there.
Definitely. And who do you guys think his attorney is?
Jim Archibald.
If you said Jim Archibald and John Thomas, you would be correct.
Oh my God.
But the boys are
Jim
back
and John.
together. Yep.
God almighty. They gotta defend this lunatic. Shit.
Mhm. Which also means they have to go clear to Custer County.
Oh my God, you
I
guys.
mean,
It
that
is
is
not.
not that close to here. That's a drive. Yeah.
It is a long drive. Somebody said some of our counties are huge. Oh, they
Yes.
are. A
Mhm.
lot of our counties are massive.
Yeah.
And yeah, Custer is really big. And like, look for Bonneville over
Yeah. Here's
next to
Bonneville.
Wyoming.
Mm-hmm.
Um,
Clear over next to Wyoming.
yeah, that's where I live. That's where they're going to be coming from.
Yeah.
Is Bonneville. And it's not a short trip. It's through the mountains.
Oh, yeah.
Like it's
Yeah.
yeah.
It's a jaunt. Yeah.
Idaho is a huge state by geography. And yes, a lot of our counties are very big.
Mhm.
The really, really rural ones are humongous.
Mhm.
And Custer is one of those.
Definitely. Yeah. But, we, by people, we're small. But by,
Yeah. We're not even quite to 2 million
yeah, in the whole
residents in
state.
our population yet.
Yeah. We like that. It's fine. But at any rate, so then of course, as we know, they send out the search and rescue units. They were unable to find him. But I wanted to learn a little bit more about who is this dude, right? Because if he's
Right.
got felonies that mean he can't have a gun, they didn't happen in Idaho.
No.
So I don't have the beginning of the story, but I have the middle of the story.
Ah.
This is what I found. This is from the Appeal Democrat. This is a newspaper in California from the
Okay.
Yuba City area.
Okay.
And this is on July 30th, 2009. And this is a story about Alan Douglas Bruce.
Mm.
Here he is.
Oh, great.
hmm
Yeah. That looks like SWAT taking
That
him
is
down.
SWAT. He ended up in a standoff with the police. He had been a
Mm.
guest at someone's home and apparently had pulled a shotgun on a resident of the house and started a big standoff with the police. And they finally managed to get him to come out of the house and surrender peacefully. And he was arrested and charged. And I'm guessing he went to prison for this. He had a charge of making criminal threats, possession of a gun by an ex-felon, and an aggravated assault. And that was in 2009.
Wow. But he was already an ex-felon.
But he was
So
already an ex-felon. So that's only half the story or a portion of it. So we don't know what all this guy has been into throughout his life, but he is pretty terrifying. So,
and unfortunately, rural places like Challis, Idaho, tend to attract people like him
mhm,
who are just trying to stay off the radar because they've been in
yeah,
a lot of trouble and they're probably doing illegal things they're not supposed to be doing
mhm,
because they are felons. This happens
yeah,
to our rural communities because I mean, he's probably lived there under the radar for a long time.
mhm. It also made me wonder, just with the night vision goggles and the, scheming around the property, watching him all night and stuff, is this guy a veteran with some real serious mental health issues?
Or just someone with really serious mental health issues, something. Ooh.
Right? Like, what in the hell? So it's terribly sad for Patrick's family and his friends. They're just devastated.
Well, and it's
Um,
such a small community. It's a place
yeah,
where everyone knows everyone and everyone is
yeah.
related to everyone. Like it's that
Uh-huh.
kind of it's a really small town.
Yeah, I know multiple people that know him. That's kind of how things go, you know?
It's just wild.
So,
Yeah.
yeah, I mean, he was a dad, of course, an uncle, a son, a friend, and he's history. And it's just really freaking sad.
That is really
So, I hope at some point they manage to recover some portion of him for his family to be able to bury. I'm not going to hold my breath in that river. Maybe later in the summer when the levels drop a little bit, something will emerge.
maybe if
People
that burn barrel
recreate.
went to the bottom, but God, it's hard to know.
Yeah, people recreate on the salmon a lot. There's a ton of fishing that goes on there and stuff. And so,
Yeah, it's internationally known. This is
oh
where
yeah.
people go steelhead fishing in this area and like it's a
hmm
very famous salmon
Oh,
fishing place.
this was the highlight of our dad and his brothers. They went on fishing trips there that were absolutely coveted, and they'd bring home enormous steelhead salmon. Yeah.
Yeah.
Or if they couldn't catch one, they'd buy one from someone else who did.
Yeah. That is also true. I
Kind of
wanted
an
to
ongoing
welcome
joke.
me,
Yeah.
myself, and I, who said they just subbed us. And so Cuz G from
Yeah.
Australia also just found us. Welcome.
Good to have you
We
here
love it
for
when new people are
sure.
finding us. That's certainly what we want.
Yeah. I did not say there was a wood chipper on the property. There was a grader, a road grader, which also is weird to me. But I mean, that's big equipment.
Maybe he did some work for the county or something.
Maybe so. Maybe so. So
He was
obviously
on the
there's
road
some
out
holes
there.
here. There's things we don't know or that we're just assuming or trying to put together from the police report, but he will be arraigned on the 27th. And I noticed in the iCourt portal that there has been a request for cameras in the courtroom for the arraignment, which makes me think East Idaho News is probably going to stream that. So hopefully we'll get more information there. I've also reached out to some contacts who were, know the family. We would never go IRL with the family and harass them in any way whatsoever. But we might be able to get a few of our questions answered at any rate about
Right.
some things that are kind of holes for me. But
Like what?
when you think about now, the cell phone data definitely led them to Bruce's property anyway, but he dropped a piece of mail where he was ditching the truck.
Right. Like what
I mean,
the
that
hell?
was their first clue towards him, is that he dropped some mail that belonged to him when he ditched the truck.
I mean, not good.
No, but again, I mean, this guy is obviously not stable and is a scary human.
Right. I mean, was he so paranoid with this guy cutting wood adjacent to his property, or was he mad because he hit his truck? And did that even actually happen? Like, to take this
Right.
to the extreme of, I'm going to go borrow an AR-15 from my neighbor, stalk
Yeah.
him all night, and then murder him in his truck? Like, holy shit.
Right. Why would you have not had a conversation with him at that point? That was one of the questions I reached out to my contact and asked. Did he actually hit his truck? Do we know that that's true?
Right.
Or not?
I mean, they should be
Because
able to tell now because they've got both trucks, but
if somebody pulls up to your property and crashes into your vehicle, wouldn't your first step be to go talk to them? Or if you truly felt unsafe, to call the police?
right.
Wouldn't it? And
Yeah.
it's not like he
But
didn't.
again,
He got in the white truck and drove away. So
this is rural Idaho and this is
yeah.
gun country, and this guy is the
Mhm.
kind of guy that will,
Mhm.
hole up in a real rural place to be,
Yeah.
off the grid, who could
Off
be
the grid.
scary.
Yeah, it looks as though he is 6'6" or 6'7", Tammy. I was thinking that too. Big
Jesus
dude.
Christ, he's a huge dude.
But my other question is, if he took the white truck to the friend's house so that he could borrow the gun, and the friend dropped him off on the perimeter of the property, how is it that the white truck is a whole part of this story?
Right. I know. It's the vehicle stuff is really confusing.
Mm-hmm.
The time frame is kind of confusing because really Patrick was cutting wood at night by headlight light. I mean,
Right?
that's dangerous as hell.
It
Maybe
is,
there's
but maybe
more
there was a
to
reason for it. I don't know.
maybe.
Or maybe
Yeah.
none of those things happened. And this crazy dude's just telling a lot of bullshit.
And
I
that's what
think that could
I
be
think,
just
yeah.
as well. Yeah. It's hard when the only account you really have is that of the perp. And so then we start trying to break it down, like, why did this happen or that happen? And not remembering, wait a minute, this is the murderer, It
Right.
could
Like
be that
probably none
all
of
of
that's
this
true.
is a lie. Yeah.
And Melissa makes a really good point that, as a felon who's not supposed to own guns and stuff, he probably just wasn't going to call the police anyway.
That's a good point. That's a good point,
Yeah.
Melissa. No kidding. Yep.
Wow.
So we're going to keep an eye on it. All of our love to Patrick's family and everybody who's been touched by this case. Your horror
Yes, my God.
is felt, and we're so very sorry for what happened to your family.
Absolutely. My God.
So that's what we've got. We will be back tomorrow at 3 p.m. I might be speaking out of turn, but we thought about doing a Utah is not okay episode because holy shit, the stuff coming out of Utah. Again,
Oh,
some more.
again. Yeah, we probably will need to. Yeah.
Like hostages and stuff, you guys. Yeah, it's coming.
Yeah.
So that'll be at 3 p.m. Mountain tomorrow. On Wednesday night, it's case updates at 6 p.m. And then members of the watch party, it's watch party week. So the watch party will be at 7 p.m. or 7:15 p.m. If you want to be a part, if you want to be a part of the watch party, all you have to do is go over to truecrimesquad.com. There's a link there to take you to our Buy Me a Coffee account, and you just subscribe. It's $2 a month. It's cheap as hell. And how it works is we send you an email with a link, and then you enter a live just like this one, except for that we're not on the screen because we're watching a documentary with you. We can't stream the documentary because that would be illegal. But you watch it from your device, so we watch it from ours, and we just all hang out together in the chat room and talk about the case. Oh man, our case last month,
wild.
Mm-hmm.
I haven't picked it yet this month, but I will. I'll try to have it for us tomorrow,
Mhm.
so that you'll know what we're going to watch.
And the documentaries always come from Netflix. So if you
Yep.
subscribe to Netflix, that will be useful for you. If you don't, there's just a few ways we can do this. But the watch party is super fun. So if you want to be a part of it, that's how to do it. And we'll talk about it more tomorrow for sure. And then we'll be
Definitely.
back on Thursday at 3 p.m. Mountain for our last episode of the week. So that's what's going on so far this week. And want to thank you guys all for being here. Welcome to the new subs. Love to have you guys too.
Yes.
And that's what we've got. So thanks for being here. This has been yet another edition of the True Crime Squad.
Bye, everybody.
Season 6, we're back again. Kristi and Katie, your crime time friends. Stories, justice, laughs collide. True Crime Squad, come join the ride. Grab the clues, let's take a stand. For victims' voices, hand in hand. True Crime Squad, it's time to shine. Season 6, your turn, your time. True Crime Squad, where justice meets hilarity.